Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping right back into our Cybersecurity Command Center for day 20. And our mission today, we're going to demystify network ports. You know, if you've ever wondered how your computer juggles multiple web pages, a music stream, and file downloads all at the exact same time without mixing up the data, well, the answer lies entirely in these logical communication endpoints.
Here's a quick look at today's agenda. We'll start by answering what network ports actually are, explore the three main categories they fall into, and highlight the ones you're going to see the most. Then, we'll map out how the data communication process works, look at ports from a security perspective, and finally wrap it all up with our Day 20 summary.
All right, part one. What are network ports? Let's talk about communication endpoints. I mean, it's the exact question we all ask when we first start looking at network analytics, right? What the hell is a port anyway? Well, without port numbers, network traffic would just be pure indecipherable chaos. Think of ports as the ultimate organizational solution for unorganized network traffic. They essentially allow network-connected devices to transmit data back and forth using specific transmission protocols perfectly seamlessly. Think of it like this. Your computer's IP address is basically a large building's street address. When you order food delivery, buy something online, or, say, schedule a mail pickup, it all goes to that exact same street address. But how does the delivery person know exactly where to go once they're inside? That's your network port. It's the specific apartment number. The port number tells the arriving data exactly which apartment door or application to knock on.
Now, formally speaking, a port is a 16-bit unsigned integer. That might sound a little complex, but it really just means there's a strict mathematical limit to them. The range goes from exactly 0 all the way up to 65,535. They act as virtual communication endpoints for network services, things like web servers, email servers, and DNS servers. Without these numerical endpoints directing traffic, your system literally wouldn't know if incoming data was meant for your web browser or your email client.
Moving on to Section 2, the 3 port categories, and how we organize that massive 0 to 65,535 range. You can basically slice this entire port range into 3 primary neighborhoods. First up, we have the well-known ports, running from 0 to 1023. These are like the VIP penthouse apartments, completely reserved for essential system services. Next are the registered ports, from 1024 to 49,151. Think of this as the middle-class neighborhood for important, officially registered applications like databases. And finally, we have the dynamic or private ports, from 49,152 to 65,535. This is basically the temporary, free-for-all zone used by your computer for outgoing connections. Which brings us to Section 3, commonly used network ports. Let's meet the VIPs.
All right, here are the foundational, well-known ports you absolutely need to know. Notice FTP sitting on ports 20 and 21 for file transfers. Then you've got the highly secure SSH on port 22 for remote logins. There's DNS on 53, which basically acts as the internet's phone book by translating domain names into IP addresses. And of course, the absolutely critical web browsing ports, 80 for standard HTTP and 443 for secure, encrypted HTTPS traffic.
Okay, the real trick here is keeping these dense numbers locked into your brain. Let's use some rapid-fire mnemonic devices to make this technical data a bit more sticky. For port 80, think 80 miles per hour for fast HTTP web browsing. For port 443, picture a 443 soccer formation, focusing on secure defense for HTTPS. Port 22, just think 22 caliber for precise, secure SSH connections. And for port 25, think 2 to 5 days for your SMTP mail delivery. Trust me, using associations like this makes memorizing these VIPs a whole lot easier.
Next up, Section 4, the data communication process, or simply how ports actually work. If we literally follow a single packet from its source to its destination, here's how the flow actually works. First, when your device sends data, it temporarily assigns itself a source port, basically picking a random number from that high dynamic range we talked about. Step 2, it selects the destination port on the server it wants to talk to, like picking the well-known port 443 for a secure website. Step 3, the data is transmitted across the network. And finally, Step 4, the specific service on the receiving server takes in the request through that exact door. All right, Section 5, ports in cybersecurity. Let's look at this from the security perspective. Let's compare how attackers and defenders actually look at these ports. The Hacker's Toolkit is entirely focused on finding a way in.
They'll use tools like Nmap to scan all 65,535 ports just looking for open doors. They're constantly hunting for vulnerabilities on web ports like 80 and 443 or trying to brute force secure shell logins on port 22. In contrast, the Defender's toolkit is all about visibility and control. Defenders are continuously monitoring the traffic flowing through these ports, they regularly audit which doors are actually open, and they quickly close any unnecessary ports to shrink that attack surface.
And finally, Section 6, our Day 20 summary and mission wrap-up.
Excellent work today. Let's quickly recap the core concepts you need to take away. Basically, ports act as the logical communication doors for IP addresses, making sure your data hits the exact right application. We've got a total mathematical range spanning from 0 to 65,535, and it's neatly segmented into those well-known, registered, and dynamic neighborhoods. And crucially, identifying open ports is the absolute foundation of both network monitoring and incident investigation. It is step one, whether you're attacking a system or defending it.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Since every single open port is a potential entry point, do you know exactly which doors are currently open on your own system right now? Seriously, think like a defender today. Take a look at your own machine's network traffic and just see what you find. Thanks for joining me in the command center, and keep those networks secure.